But it's on.
But we're not gonna go live on that piece of the. That's fine. Tell me when someone gets on so we can get started. Are we ready? Someone's on? Thank you. Okay.
All right.
You'll be like, oh, what's that? Hey. Welcome to the Living Room Talk Show. This is our second segment, and it's mothers who've lost kids to gun and street violence. We are very excited to have you here. Thank you so much. So before I introduce our guests, which some of you know them and some of you may not, I'm a mother. I'm an aunt. I have cousins who are black males, and although I have a daughter, but we're going to see that it's not just males these days that are being gunned down, it's also females. So the subject matter is very serious. It's heartbreaking. However, we need to talk. And I wanted these ladies, I know them very well. I've known them for a long time. I see their posts on Facebook, and it's still heartbreaking. But I wanted to talk to them because what happens is after their children are memorialized, I'm going to talk about myself. I send my condolences. I call them or go see them, and after a couple of weeks, I go on about my life. But they suffer through this, they grieve through this every single day. And I'm just going to tell a story I began to tell very recently. My grandmother passed away, and we hadn't had a close relative die in our family since I was, I think, 12. So for someone that close to me, it was devastating. And I'm saying this is because I brought something home after she died, and it's a little fan, and it sits next to me, next to my bed on my nightstand, and every day I look at that. So it's either I have these great memories and I smile and I laugh, or I kind of cry inside because I miss her. I mourn her death still. But she's my grandmother. But a child, for a mother to go through the 9 months of having a child and then to lose a child, that's devastating. And I can't say I understand, but I can understand what it would be like to lose my child. So I wanted to talk, have this conversation so that we can make those connections with people in our community that go through different things, whether it's domestic violence, mothers who've lost kids to gun or street violence, or single dads, these things that we just don't talk about. You might hear one person talk about it, but as a community, let's get a look inside of what they go through. And this is just a glimpse because they go through it every single day. But let's discuss their stories and their situation and see where we can help. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a card every now and again to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Whatever it might be to help them get through this. Because I know we still need encouragement. People need to know that you're praying for them, that you're thinking of them, and that helps them to get through this and just about any other situation there might be. So we have two guests tonight. I'm expecting someone else to come and to stop by. So hopefully they will. I know this is a hard subject to talk about, but I want to talk about it because I want these ladies to know that I think about them and I care about them, and their story is truly my story because they're my sisters. So that means their children are my children. I don't have to feed them or raise them, but they're still my children because they're a part of my community. So, without further ado, we have Diana Garlington. Give it up for her. And we have Annette Perry. So, ladies, thank you for joining. so much. I have some questions for you, and I just really want to say thank you. And you're very strong because you're still here. People who go through these types of situations can do damage and harm to themselves, but you're still here. Not only are you here, you're actually advocating for other mothers, and you're making those connections and, you know, pulling each other up together. And that's very important because some people don't have access to someone else. You know, you can go to counseling, but you need to see someone that looks like you, someone that's going through what you're going through, to kind of mend that. And that's how I feel, and I hope that's the way you see it as well. And that's one of the main reasons. I see you, I know you guys, we've gone to high school together, and trust me, it hurts. It really does hurt. There's times I talk to my husband and say, you know, what can I do? What can I do? It could be my child. It's no longer men, boys or young men. It's girls too, teenagers, young adults that are being murdered as well. So I'm afraid. And I'm afraid when my child walks alone, will she be okay? You know, will she be hit by, you know, a stray bullet? Anything. And we shouldn't have to live like this. This has become all too common. Our kids are, at some point, are becoming desensitized to the situation because we see it so often. And one murder is just too many, you know. So, Diana, I'm gonna so tell me and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Diana Gollington. I am 49 years old. I was born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island, and I've lived in the Washington Park area for over 33 years. I was in that house since I was the age of 6, and moved out a couple of times, but moved back home, which is my parents' home, and just absolutely love being there. I raised my children there, and like I said, I wouldn't want to move unless I actually left the state.
Right. So you're married to Todd. He is like one of my favorite guys. I'm like literally like, you're my brother and you don't even know it. So how did you meet Todd, or if you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Because I want to talk about your family, because it's not just about your child, it's about the whole family, because everyone suffers through this as well as you.
Right.
So
I actually met Todd. We both worked at a law firm downtown Providence, Rhode Island, and he was the supervisor in the mail center. And I walked in one day and they were talking, and his birthday is July 26th and mine is July 23rd. So they were having a conversation about that, and I sort of jumped in and said, well, my birthday's 3 days before, and before you knew it, it was like a couple of days later, we bumped into each other in the mail center again, and he was like, could I take you out for lunch? And 17 years later.
So I guess that was a yes.
Yes. That was the yes.
Right. Well, you know, it's just hopefully it wasn't Burger King that
No, definitely not.
That was kind of like the first day with my husband. I love you, but it wasn't a date like that, so I won't make it look that. I'm sorry, it's not about me.
That's okay.
Okay, right. So did you tell everyone how many children you have?
Yes, I 3 girls and 1 boy.
Okay. Well, so you know why you're here, but before you tell your story, please tell us something about Essence, something wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Essence was our highlight of the family. She was one of those where you could be home and just be having such a bad day, and she'd come in and she'd make you laugh. She's like, okay, we're not having this today. You're gonna laugh. And she'd do something silly that would definitely uplift everyone. She was the type of child that she didn't like to be around people who were sad. So she had to find a way to sort of uplift you. She was like our comedian of the family, sort of say. At the age of 3, I always said she was either going to be a singer or a dancer or something, because on a gentleman's 35th birthday. She grabbed the camera and I'm like, what is she doing? And she started singing, and she was just singing for everybody, and she ended up singing happy birthday to this man. So like I said, I sort of felt like one day she was going to be some sort of star, because she was the one that was always outgoing. She was also, on the other hand, as she got older, she was that one where you knew what she was feeling at the moment, because she never held anything back. She was outspoken, and you didn't have to know how she felt, because she was going to tell you. And if she didn't like something, she's going to tell you. So she was, like I said, she was outgoing, and on that other hand, she's that type of person, you know exactly how she feels. So
Right. Okay, well, now that, you know, you told us that, how did you find out what happened that day?
unfortunately, I got a phone call maybe about an hour before it happened, and she was saying that she wanted to go back to my niece's house because we had Thanksgiving the night before, and we had so much fun at the Thanksgiving event that we were having. And it was really weird to me though, because at the end of the night she sort of lingered, and she wanted to be around me a lot that night. And maybe about 15-20 minutes before we were leaving to drop her off, my niece said, let's take a family picture. And we took the picture, but for some reason she kept saying, I'm sitting on my mommy's lap. And I'm like, get out of here, you big clown. You know, you're too big, you're not sitting on my lap. I'm gonna let one of the babies. But she said it like 3 or 4 times, and then she actually did it. So later on that night, we ended up going home. We were watching TV, and I would say right around 2:22, my niece came and knocked on the door, and it was so loud and aggressive, and I was kind of afraid to go open the door, so I woke Todd up and I said, can you go see who's at the door? Something's wrong. And he kind of was shrugging me off, like he didn't want to get up. So I finally got up and went downstairs, and it was my niece. And she was like, Auntie, she said, I need you to get up right now. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, Essence was in a car accident. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, is she okay? And then she's like, it wasn't only a car accident. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong? And then she said, she was shot. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, she was shot, and it's pretty bad, so you need to get to the hospital. So on our way to the hospital, it was just really weird, because we were going down Eddy Street, and I saw another car coming down a side street, and I noticed the car was kind of familiar too, and I could see somebody waving their hands and pointing at me to stop, and I didn't stop, which I found out later it was another family member who had actually passed the scene, and found out that it was her. So we get to Rhode Island Hospital, and I walked in, and there was a couple of people at the desk, and then all of a sudden the male who was in the car with her came to me, and he's like, Essence was shot, but it was only in the shoulder. So I kind of calmed myself down or whatever, just thinking maybe everything was gonna be okay. She pulled through or whatever, but there were people that were sitting over in the waiting area, kind of shaking their head at me, and I'm looking around, and then I kept asking the doctor, could I see her, could I go in, and they just kept saying no. And just from kind of watching a lot of the shows that I watch all the time, and they asked us to go in the back room, and I kind of felt like it wasn't good. It wasn't good news. So.
Right.
And we were in that waiting area, and the nurse started asking us questions about things that were on her body, and things about her. So I knew right then and there it wasn't good news. So.
Right. But they knew it was Essex, so
yes,
yes,
they knew.
Okay.
My niece had actually identified her prior to me getting there.
Okay. Wow. So, and that was how long ago?
2011, November 26th.
Wow. 2011. So here we are, 6 years.
Right. Her 6-year anniversary was this year.
So, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the things that you do to help you get through this? Because we're Facebook friends, but I never knew the entire story. But from what I see, I know you have your good days and you have your bad days. And let's talk about unsolved murders.
Okay.
Because I know you're big on that, and you do a lot of community advocacy, especially concerning this, and you're always, I don't want to tell what you do. Let's talk about what you do concerning that, because you can tell it better.
So, when it happened, I was very angry. I kind of like, I could say maybe zoned out for a good 2 years. It took me a very long time to stop the anger. And it kind of like consumed me so bad where I just wasn't sure if I even wanted to live. So one day I was like really upset, and I posted something on Facebook, and I got a call maybe about 20 minutes later, and it was my friend Kobe Dennis. He was doing a lot of work in the community, and he said, listen, I know you're hurting, and I know that you're going through a lot, but we need to do something to change this. We need to make this positive and find another way to get your anger out instead of, being so mad. So I went and met with him, and we sat down and talked, and he said, let's make her legacy live on positively. So I need you to find something where we can make a memorial, but make it into something where we can go out and help the community at the same time.
Right.
So we decided that we were going to start an event called Bowl for Essence. We do that once a year, every year, July 5th. We try to keep it on the same date, just so that everyone can know what date it is. Right. And we started that. And I also decided that I didn't want female youth in our community to suffer with the same things that Essence was going through, because also I didn't know she was also being abused by the gentleman that was actually the reason why she was shot. So I decided that I was going to start a youth program. This youth program was targeted for females 13 to 21 years of age, and myself and my daughter decided we were going to recruit females and bring them to these classes and just teach them, mentorship, teach them things that was going on in the community, so that they can look for and to know that, these men, or youth, are sometimes not the right people to be around, and they needed to be in a different environment. We also graduated 15 females the first class and 17 the second.
I can attest to a lot of the great work you do, because I've been there with you. I've been to Bowl for Essence 2 years in a row, and we have a great time. I don't know, Tyrone, do we usually win? I try to. I really do try to. But we have a great time, and it's a great way to remember your child, and the wonderful things about her that you have come accustomed to over the years. I've also gone to your program with the girls, and that is also wonderful too. I was shocked, because you do such great work, and you can tell that the girls are growing and that they love it. They make sure they, a couple of the meetings I had gone to, they're consistent.
Yes.
And that's what we need, some of these girls, or whatever programs, you have them here and there, but these girls are consistent. They look forward to graduating. You give them beautiful gifts, and you make them feel special, because a lot of these girls are not getting these things at home. And they need that positive outlet, because sometimes kids won't even talk to their mothers, as you know, that you didn't know your child was being abused. So we need to build those things in our community, so our kids, if they're not talking to us, they can go talk to someone else that would help them so that they're not in those particular situations, or they can at least find a way out of it. So just thank you for all of the great things you do in the community. I'm there, I'm a witness, so I see it. And you are strong, you are very strong, and I hope someone who's listening to this and probably going through some of the same things you're going through, that they will reach out to you.
Thank you.
And reach out and support, because it takes money also to run your programs, because you do a lot of things for these girls. You provide hygiene kits. I think you take them shopping.
Yes, ma'am. We get their nails done once a month and their hair. So.
And those are beautiful things, because we need to feel good about ourselves. A lot of the reasons we're stuck in those positions, situations, is because we lack confidence and low self-esteem. But if we can begin to look good and feel good, then we can at least accept something better than what we've been accepting, which is most of the time these girls get into these negative relationships, and then it's just downhill from there. But then it becomes a cycle.
That's right.
You know, they look for that same type of guy, and we get some of this that we have today, which is it's not great. But we as older women, our jobs is to teach the young so that they can teach the young.
That's right.
You know, once they come up, and we can have a society could be better. Okay, so that was great. So is that all? I know you have some. Also, you graduated from something recently.
Yes.
No, you need to share that, because through this, through your child's death, there's a lot of positive things that came out of this. You have grown since we met up at another fundraiser some years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since high school.
Right.
But to know you from then, and that was like 4 years ago, I think, and to see you now, you know, certificate, certification after certification, and graduation, and these things, I am proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I am, and maybe others, you know, will realize that they can do the same thing too.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know, what does that mean? You know, like as in lemons, make lemonade.
That's right.
Put a whole bunch of sugar in it.
That's
what
true.
you're doing, girl. Your stuff is sweet.
Right.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else you
Well,
would like to say regarding that? And then we're gonna go to the audience.
Okay, so basically I just want everyone to know that you know, as Helen said, we don't want to do this alone. We want other parents to know that, you know, we need to bond together. We need to help each other get through this, because a lot of the times I didn't know who to reach out to. I didn't know who I could turn to. My family helped me, and as I said, I'm so grateful for Kobe reaching out to me, because it did bring me out of that anger. You know, it's hard when you have other people going through the same thing. And like I said, I'm so grateful for my sister Pooh here. We talk all the time, and she's another parent that I can reach out to and talk to, but we do need other resources. We need other parents to help each other.
Right, because it's just not a parent who lost a child. You need parents who are just going to be there to help you to mature in, you know, life, and help children, the girls, do what they need to do.
Right.
Like if I can give a hand, I'll give a hand. And we reach out into the community, and we try to bring people in, say, look, our kids need us, you know, in order to make this community better, it takes all of us. And as you can see now, people are starting to come together.
That's right.
And again, one of the reasons why this talk show happened is because we need to talk. I see you all the time, but I don't even know your story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I see you on Facebook, but I don't sit down and I don't talk to you. But we need to talk so that I can say, look, what can I do for you?
Right.
And then when you do need something, now that I know what you're going through, because I could be someone that passes by you all the time and just say hello, but now I say, now I know what you're going through. I see all the positive things you are. Someone that's trying to make a positive impact in the community. I'm going to help you. You know, rather it's money or things of that nature. So just thank you. Right. So wait, what is that? Right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the live off, Tonette. So we're gonna turn the live off and we're gonna go to the audience. We'll be back